Good morning. Sunday, May the 3rd, 2020. And being lost in the woods once again, I decided what better way would there be to practice the cognition health in trying to find my way out of this maze. And which brings me nicely along to the topic of today. What I'd like you to imagine right now is a bucket full of water. After you've imagined that, I'd like you to imagine like a little paddling pool within the household that you buy. So if you've got kids and you've got a little paddling pool, I'd like you to envision that. It's a bit bigger than a bucket. Now I'd like you to envision a swimming pool. You can go for a child swimming pool, you know, the one where you go into the centres and there's like the child pool, or you can go to the bigger one. Now, then you think of an Olympic swimming pool. It's bigger, vaster, right? Then look into rivers. Rivers are considerably bigger than that. Now look into the ocean. And the topic that I've chosen to talk about today is like me going into the freaking ocean. It's big. Now, you know that I spend around 8 to 10 minutes on average with these posts a day. If I was going to be prolonging this post and going into the topic that I desire to go into, I'm going to be here for a very long time, and you will not. You will get bored in how we determine as shitless. So let's not go there. Let me just give you the topic of today. Now, I won't go into top 10, top 5 or nothing like that. I'm going to go into a few ways how you can train your brain with food. Okay, so I need to give you some basics first, because there's no point in me rushing into the foods and for you not to understand why I'm delivering those kind of foods. Okay, so your brain is made out of 60% fat, okay? And it's always a process of growing. It's always learning. It's always getting bigger. That was proven in the early 19th centuries by some wonderful scientists, philosophers, physicians. They all got their heads together and they found methods of pathological pathways. We can actually expand the brain. So there's the nuclear gluconeogenesis, which is basically the transportation of glucose from the liver to the brain. And then there's neuroplasticity as well. So that is when your brain starts to deliver new neurons, new cells, so it grows bigger. So foods that help promote your brain growth. What sparked this conversation was yesterday's post when I had a big problem in retention. And I said to you, right, just for me to really challenge myself, I got to get into this. Foods that will help you train your brain. Now, on a real basic level, we just said now that your brain, 60% fat, okay? Now, I know there could be a lot of argument with that and a lot of backlash, a lot of challenge. Now, if you feel challenged with that, just please comment down as well, because you might be thinking about the intermittent fasting, you might be thinking about the ketones, you might be thinking about dementia, but I won't be going into all of that. Hopefully what I cover is going to be just enough for you to understand what foods can help you train your brain. And that's the essence of this post. If you feel like making a comment, please do. Love that. Okay, now you need something called EHA, DHA and ALA, okay? And there's a long descriptive word for all of them. And what they are, those are your essential fatty acids, okay? But they can't be easily converted to the brain, because in the brain you have got something called a blood-brain barrier, and that is our defense system in order for us to fight away any kind of adverse disease or threat, anything that could make our brain slightly more vulnerable. We have a great system, a great self-defense system for that. And it's called the blood-brain barrier. How do you break the blood-brain barrier? By getting these essential fatty acids in. So if you think of the word parasite, now if you look at parasite, it's something that you don't want in your life, you know? It's annoying. It's a freaking nonsense. And when it gets to you, it really gnarls away at you, you know? And it could really do a number into degenerating your health, like cognitively, self-worth, etc., that kind of thing. I'm talking about on the brain level. I'm not talking about on a physiological level. Anyway, so pathogens. those are called pathogens. So think of parasites, and what the parasites are for the brain are pathogens, and the blood-brain barrier blocks those pathogens. And how you can bypass them, how you can break through them, is by getting some decent essential fatty acids in, so EFAs. And I've gone through what they are in their abbreviation, because there's a lot to unravel with the way that you pronounce them. And because I'm walking in the woods, I don't have that mental capacity right now. Okay, and where would you get them from? And even if you've got them, what would you need? Well, if you've got them, what would you need is something called zinc. Zinc, you need it to like pull it through, push and break through that barrier as well. With vitamin C as well, because you need your salt uptake. So when you have these foods, you're going to get a lot of sodium, and that sodium needs vitamin C to push it past that barrier as well. And you probably have heard like the omega-3s, omega-6, omega-9s. Yes, those are the ones that we want. And where to get them from? Fatty fish. Okay, so the most obvious being the salmon. You can go for the herring, the trout. So there's many out there what you can do. So if there was going to be like a tip of food, it's going to be your omegas, which is going to come from the fish. Right, so B vitamins. B vitamins are vital, because not only do they, again, promote good, healthy well-being, good brain cognitive function, what they do, they uplift your moods. And they do that by giving you that lift of that serotonin hormone that we get whenever we are pleased and whenever we are happy. And the environment we want in our brain is that happiness environment. And one of the ways to get that is to have your vitamin B supplements. Now, B12 has been proven to work. B6, there's a thing called bromelain as well, which you can get from the base of the pineapple, but you would need to work very hard to get all of the bromelain from the base of the pineapple. You would need to actually supplement bromelain. So that's a really good tip if you wanted that. Then you've got things like chickpeas. Chickpeas have good vitamin B. So I did say a few ways, okay? And I've gone through a few now. So with the fatty fish, the B vitamins. Now, what foods would contain a lot of goodness for your brain? Eggs. Now, I've mentioned that previously before. They are not a superfood. They're a freaking genius food. And I always will advocate them as being your go-to food. With that, I've mentioned chickpeas. So that goes on to the starchy carbohydrate as well. Now, there's a few carbohydrates that work really well, and again they offer you the B vitamins, and they're like the lentils, the legumes, that kind of family of foods as well. Probiotics, prebiotics, because you have to, at the same time as with the brain function, there's got to be a protective agent, or there's got to be like a team member that helps the brain, and the team member here is your gut. Your gut is vital for premium brain health. And one way to really preserve your gut and make it really healthy is through eating probiotics and prebiotics. So prebiotics are the ones that get your gut ready for its protectiveness of the gut microbiome. The gut microbiome is like the population of bacteria in the gut. And to preserve that, you've got to be looking at things like onions. Onions work really well with that. And probiotics, I mean, you've probably heard a lot about them with supplementation, but fermented foods as well. So yogurts are really good. There's a fermented yogurt called kefir. That's really good. And go for products that are fermented for your probiotics as well. So I know that this can be prolonged like vastly, and I could go into things like what about intermittent fasting? Well, what intermittent fasting does in a nutshell, it lowers your uptake of carbohydrate to the brain, so the brain starts starving, and it needs then fat to make it work. Hence why I said the 60% of your brain is made out of fat. Now, what would fuel that is things that are called ketones. Now, if you're down regulating your carbohydrate consumption, like you're going really low carb, then there's going to be that transition where your body knows that it can't give carbs for fuel no more, and that glucogenesis that I spoke about from the liver, well, that transforms and transfers towards the ketone bodies, and then ketones start fueling your brain. But that barrier, since we're on the topic of barriers, that barrier there is quite a difficult one to cross. You need a lot of patience. And alongside with that, what I'm going to say as well is exercise. Got to get yourself out there. Got to get yourself moving. You've got to do something that makes and forces your body to challenge itself with movement. So by me saying you've got to get yourself out there, don't got to do nothing like that, really. What I believe you should be doing is moving. So as a nutritional coach, as a physical coach, personal trainer, and lots more within that, running my own fitness business, Train-Wise Lifestyle and Fitness Coaching, I believe I've got the tools, the resources, the education, the knowledge, the experience to really carve out a magnificent you. And if you like the way that I sound, if you like what I'm delivering, then there's links that you can click that I'll always leave on here. My website and also my online remote platform, my PT hub as well, where I've got many packages on nutrition, training at home, especially in this environment that we find ourselves in now, and also for your longevity, for your keepsake, and to keep that brain trained. Okay, that is me. Have a wonderful Sunday. Have a great week. Probably see you tomorrow on the other side. Peace and love. Oh yeah, if this does resonate with you, click some links and also leave some messages. Give me some comments. Give me some views. Give me something that I can work with. Troll me. Do what you think is best to really get me going.